Hey guys, how is your week going so far? This is Seth Kniep'n it real. I had to laugh. The last video I did, I was in a casino in Las Vegas. It was a message of hope and encouragement to people who are trying to get started. And someone put a comment on a video. It's like, why would someone put a thumbs down on this video? And I had to laugh. Like, some people, I just wonder what's going on in their mind. Like, it had to be the most uncontroversial video I've ever made in my life. Like, everything was just speaking hope. And someone was offended by it. But, we live in a crazy world, and I guess it means we're doing something right. Hey, I hope you're doing well. One of the most challenging parts of selling on Amazon is learning how to deal with shipping, and it can be really overwhelming. All of a sudden, this supplier, you have this product, you're talking to a supplier, you're excited about it, you know you're going to crush it, you have a differentiation plan, and you start communicating back and forth, and you get to the shipping conversation. And this is where most people get very overwhelmed and a little intimidated because they start throwing terms at you as if you were supposed to know a different language. Like, what is X works? What is FOB? What is the difference between a carrier and a shipper and a customs broker and a freight forwarder? And why is there so much overlap and confusion? And how come everyone just kind of assumes you're supposed to know what you're talking about? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to clear this up as much as possible. I'm going to go step by step through the most important terms out there. And at the end of this video, I want to talk just briefly about a tool, completely free, that you can download and get. It's called the Understanding FBA Amazon tool. And what it does is it helps you to break down all the different sizes and how Amazon charges you for various sizes of boxes and packages and weights. You have small standard, large standard, small oversize, medium oversize, large oversize. You even have special oversize, and how the size and the weight can affect the fees that you pay when you're doing Amazon FBA, because it's really important you know your numbers. And that'll impact what you say to your supplier and how big of a product it is and how you get it shipped and whether you do sea shipping or air shipping. There's so many things. I understand it's incredibly overwhelming. And so this tool is a chart where you can simply look at your product, go over here, see the size and the weight. Okay, perfect, got it. And you can figure it out really quickly like that. It'll be at the end of this video. I'll talk about it. I'll include a link below as well. So today I'm going to talk about the most common used terms when it comes to international shipping and the ones that you need to know the most. Now here's the good news. Once you have a general understanding of the most commonly used terms, it makes everything else much easier to understand and to take that next step forward. Let's just pretend you're selling fidget spinners, because that's so unique and original. And let's say they're solar-powered fidget spinners, these super awesome fidget spinners. You take them out, the sun powers them, and as you stare at them, they begin to spin, and it puts you into hypnosis. These are awesome fidget spinners. And you're ready to get your shipment, and the supplier gets back to you, and they start throwing out these terms. What terms do you need to know? First of all, what do you call yourself, and what do you call the supplier when it comes to shipping? When it comes to shipping, everybody gets a different term, and people kind of expect you to know what you're supposed to be called. But when we're talking about shipping, it's like a different language, and there's certain buzzwords that they expect you to know. And you want to know these words so you don't come off as an amateur. It'll also make your life a lot easier. So here we go. First of all, let's talk about them, the supplier. Here's the supplier. See the factory? They are also called the seller because they're selling you the goods. You're buying them, they're selling them to you before you sell them on Amazon. They're also called the exporter because they're exporting it from their country to your country. And they're also called the consignor. In other words, they're consigning it to you. They're consigning these goods to you. You're going to send them to you, and you're going to send them to customers for Amazon. So they're the consignor, they are the seller, and they are the exporter. That's them. Number two, now we're going to talk about you. You like the blue hair? You are the buyer. They're selling it, the supplier, in another country, in the Middle East or Asia somewhere. And so you are buying it from them. You are the buyer. You are also the consignee, again, on the document, also called Incoterms. These are simply terms of service or contractual terms you use when you're coming into a contract to have someone ship something to you or you to them. When they're shipping it to you, you're the consignee. They're the consignor, you are the consignee. You're also the importer because you're importing it from their country to yours. It's coming into your country. You are the importer. They are the exporter because it's going out from theirs to yours. So again, those terms can be used pretty interchangeably when it comes to shipping. Again, they are the seller, they are the exporter, and they are the consignor. You are the buyer, you are the importer, and you are the consignee. These are the two main parties. You're making a contract with your supplier. You're making an agreement. Now here's the second question. What is the difference between a carrier and a freight forwarder? Because these terms also are thrown around. When I started Amazon, it got really frustrating trying to figure out what people were talking about. A carrier, a freight forwarder, customs broker, shipper, what is that? Oh, let me go back real quick. By the way, they are the shipper. They're shipping it. Okay? You're the buyer, they're the shipper. They're shipping it to you. Now let's talk about carrier versus freight forwarder. First, we'll talk about the carrier. You see this happy guy here? He's really happy because he's sweating in the sun. He's carrying this box, and he's not very happy about it at all. He is the carrier. A carrier is simply any company or person who is carrying the product from one place to another for you. It could be as simple as someone literally delivering it by hand and bringing it to the next office or the next house, or it could be a truck or an airplane or a ship that's delivering the goods. They're carrying them for you. As simple as that. Nothing more to it. UPS could be called a carrier. DHL could be called a carrier. FedEx could be called a carrier. USPS could be called a carrier. But then here comes the next question. What about this one up here? What is the freight forwarder? A freight forwarder can do the work of a carrier, or they can contract it out to a third-party company. There's a whole bunch of carriers in this world, a bunch of them. And a lot of them will pay other countries to do the carrying for them. But the difference between a freight forwarder and a carrier is a freight forwarder oversees the entire process. They take care of customs documents, the ISF, the entry fee. They take care of the bond. In a lot of cases, if they include a customs broker on there, they manage that whole process from the time it leaves the supplier or these people here, the seller, the shipper, and it gets to you or Amazon's warehouse. These guys manage the process. So they could actually be acting as a carrier and call themselves a carrier, but they do a lot more. They manage the process. This is a beautiful thing. This is a gift to humans because they take care of the entire process for you in most cases. And I'll explain the caveats with custom brokers very soon. So again, just to keep it simple, a freight forwarder takes care of all the details. For example, think about this. Let's just pretend you are going to receive your solar-powered fidget spinners. And the shipper brings them to a port where they're going to be shipped by sea. And now they have to get on the boat. Well, who manages it getting on the boat? And who manages to make sure the boat takes it from there all the way to your port here in the US or in the UK or wherever you are in the world? And who makes sure it gets taken from the port and put into a warehouse, and from the warehouse all the way to your house, your warehouse, or Amazon's warehouse? Who manages all that process? Ta-da! The freight forwarder. That's their job. And some of the most reputable ones would be FedEx, DHL, and UPS. They help to book cargo space. They negotiate freight charges. They manage insurance so that if something did happen and the ship sinks or the cargo catches on fire on the way or the airplane crashes, that you're still covered. The freight forwarder can take care of that. In a nutshell, the freight forwarder's responsibility is to organize the safe and efficient transportation of goods from one place to another. They take care of the whole process. Now here comes up a really important question, and it is about the customs broker. Do I need a customs broker? Well, first of all, let me explain what they do. Anytime goods go from one country to another, there have to be filing of documents, applications, in order to get it from one border into another border, because these are two different countries with different laws, and it shows respect and it helps to build trust. I can't just send something to China and expect them to take it. Someone has to fill out a form. Someone has to check it. Someone has to make sure it is safe and it doesn't in any way go against the laws of that country. Well, the customs broker specializes in that. They make sure that all those details are taken care of. For example, when you import anything from another country into the US, you have to pay a bond. The bond is sort of like an insurance, or it really is an insurance, so that if for some reason you failed to pay the customs dues to the United States Border Protection, then the bond, that company would pay them for you. It ensures that the federal government gets their money. It's required. And you can do a one-time bond, which is pretty cheap, or you can do an annual bond that can be anywhere up to $600, $1,200 that covers any imports for that entire year. Other required documents include a bill of lading. They include an airway bill in case it's flying by plane instead of going by ship. Sometimes it includes a certificate of origin or certificate of title. There's a whole lot of documents. Well, the customs broker's job is to make that as easy as possible for you. It's hard to find a good customs broker. I have one. I highly recommend. Does a very good job. The question is, do you need one? Legally, no. You can actually do it yourself, or in a lot of cases, the freight forwarder will take care of that for you. They will have internal customs brokers on their team that can manage that. So when you pay them, you're paying them to do everything, and it keeps it simple. And in most cases, this is cheaper to use one of their customs brokers than to hire one yourself. Do you know why? They're contracting out to customs brokers to get more massive business. Therefore, the customs brokers will give them a discounted rate, and therefore you're going to pay less as a result. So that's what a customs broker's job is. Now, as much as you can, when you ship by sea or by air, you want to have everything done by one company. And I would recommend FedEx, UPS, or DHL. They've proven themselves again and again and again. However, sometimes the supplier is going to say, you know, we really like working with this carrier. Remember, a carrier is simply the company that ships it. Doesn't have to be involved the freight forwarding service. And they'll say, we like working with those, and they don't want to go with FedEx or UPS or DHL, for example, or a freight forwarder that you trust and you've worked with in the past. As a result, you have to now hire a customs broker, because if they ship those goods to the US or to whatever country you are in, you have to fill out forms. Either you can fill them out and pay all those fees, or pay someone to do all that for you. And let me tell you, it is a ton of paperwork, especially if you're shipping by ocean, a ton. And it's not a good use of time. It's better to pay someone. So as much as you can, try to negotiate your supplier to using a freight forwarder. I would even just go to FedEx or UPS and set up an account with them, get an account number. Just give them the account number, let them set everything up for you. It's super simple that way. Even if you have to do it, those companies are really good. You call them, you talk to them, say, look, I want to do an international shipment. I need help. They can walk you through the process over the phone of what to do. And again, their customs brokers built in, instead of hiring one, can make your life so much easier. Now let's talk about the different kinds of shipments. First of all, you can ship by air or you can ship by sea. You also can ship by railway. It's not as common, so we're not going to refer to that very much. When you ship by air, there are several options. But as a general rule of thumb, you're going to ship by air for your first shipment of goods for your product you're selling on Amazon. Why? Because time is precious and you need to get it up and selling. You want to beat the competition. You need to get out there and keep it moving. You will pay a lot more the fewer quantity you ship. The greater quantity, the price goes down because of weight and because of size. So it's very important that you use by air first. Expect to pay a lot. Sometimes you will pay more per unit for shipping than the units themselves. But remember, you're not just selling stuff on Amazon, you're building a business. You're going to spend more now to make more money later. As a result, you will get these products selling over and over and over again. And once they start going fast, you can come back later and buy a larger quantity and a larger quantity. And on the second, third, and fourth time, then you can go by sea. And when you go by sea, it is way, way cheaper when it's a large quantity. If it's a small quantity, yeah, you might get a lot lower shipping costs per unit. The problem is you will still pay the same amount approximately in all the other fees, the customs and duties. Therefore, it makes no sense to go by sea when it's a small quantity, because it'll take you anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks anyways just for it to get to the port. Then you have to have a truck to deliver it to the warehouse, from the warehouse to you or to Amazon. It's a long process. So only do this once you know it's a strong product, it's selling well, you have a supplier, you're ready to order a ton of these. I'm talking anywhere from 5 to 100,000 items. But before you get to that point, start with shipping by air. Now there's several kinds of this, and I'm going to go over that in a second to explain to you which ones are the best and which ones to avoid. When you ship by sea, there are two kinds of shipments. There's full container load and there's less than container load. Full container load, FCL, less than container load, LCL. Full container load simply means you're filling up an entire container. Have you seen those massive, huge rectangular boxes that go on these ships? They're huge. And there's different kinds and different sizes based on the kind of product that you're shipping. If you are able to fill an entire container, you will save a lot of money in most cases. If you're not shipping enough when you go by sea, it's okay. You might just fill part of a container, which means other people, other companies are paying for their little spot in that container. You're renting it out. But because it now requires the additional of separating out the different products for different customers, that requires more fees. It's still cheaper if you have a large quantity than going by air. But when you move to full container load, it's worth it. And sometimes it's better to do full container load even if your products only fill part of the container. Now, they don't like to do that because of saving fuel, but if you're still paying for the full container, at the end of the day, it's about money for them. You might save more than doing part container load or less than full container load and having to share it with other people. This is a lot of data. Let me go back. Number one, you're going to be buying your products from the factory who is shipping it to you. They're going to export it. They're the consignor. You are the consignee. You are buying it from them. You are the importer. You will need a carrier to ship the product, either by air or by sea, to get to your country. It's better to use a freight forwarder who not only can cover the carrier service for you, but the entire process. And a lot of them include built-in customs brokers, which means you don't have to hire a customs broker. In your first shipment, after your samples, but for your samples as well, do door-to-door by air. And I'll explain what I mean by door-to-door in a minute. It's going to cost more, but it's worth it because you can get it in 3 to 5 days. It's really fast. If the supplier's already built the product, you can get it very quickly. It's expensive, but remember, you're investing in a listing to feed you later, to make you more money later. You're going to invest in it. You're going to feed the company. So in the future, the company will feed you a lot more than you fed it. Once you have a very strong product and it's selling really well, all you need to do now is make sure you have enough inventory to last for 3 to 5 weeks. And that's when you can go to ship. You can have your product be produced in a large quantity and shipped to you by sea. And it's going to save you a ton of money, you guys. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through the most common shipping terms when you're setting up a contract to have your product shipped. Now, there's a ton of them, as you can see on this board. We have a total of 19 boxes here. I'm going to take you through the most common. For my team, I'm going to reserve all of them, and I teach them step by step every single one so they can become experts at this. But for now, I'm going to teach you the most common that you can immediately take and use. Number one, Ex Works. Ex Works is a contractual term when you make an agreement with a supplier how we're going to get the products from the supplier to you. Ex Works simply means you're paying the supplier to build your solar-powered fidget spinners, prepare them for pickup at their location, most likely their factory, and everything else is up to you. You have to make sure you find a freight forwarder. You pay them to go and get them, means you're going to need the address, and to have it brought to a port, put on a ship or to an airport, put on an airplane, flown to your airport in your country, then from there taken to your warehouse, your house, or Amazon's warehouse. That's how Ex Works works. You have to take care of everything else. It puts the majority responsibility on you and the least on the supplier, the exporter, the one who's selling you the product, the shipper. Ex Works can work for both shipping by sea and shipping by air. The next very common one is FOB, which stands for free on board. And it's very self-explanatory. What it means is you are paying your supplier over here to build the product and get it on board, ready to go, and cleared for customs, to get through Chinese customs. So you're paying them to do all that for you. It is much, much easier than Ex Works. I highly recommend it, and again, it only applies to sea shipping. From there, you again need a freight forwarder, or you can get a combination of a carrier and a customs broker, if you want to do it more complicated and probably spend more money, and you're gonna pay them to have it shipped across the ocean, brought to a port, a seaport, in your country, then taken from there to be unloaded off the dock into a warehouse, then by a truck driven to possibly another warehouse, and then from there to Amazon's warehouse, to your warehouse or your house. There's a lot involved, and that's why it's so important to get a freight forward for that purpose. But I highly recommend you negotiate free on board because it puts less pressure on them, it puts the responsibility on the supplier, and will make your life much easier. The next most common term is DDU, Delivered Duty Unpaid. In this situation, the supplier is paying for you to have the products that you bought, those solar-powered fidget spinners, to be shipped, customs cleared as well in their country, all the way to your country, and to be dropped off at some port, whether it's an airport terminal or a seaport or a similar location. In most cases, it's a port. And delivered duty unpaid simply means it was delivered, but the duties, the customs fees for getting from into your country, were not paid. DDU, delivered duty unpaid. That means you have to show up at the port and fill out forms to get it approved to come into your country. Or you can pay a customs broker to do that. I don't like deliver duty and pay because it means I have to go down to the airport to fill out a bunch of documents, pay a bunch of fees, or pay someone to do that. But that's how DDU works. That's why a lot of people will pick up shipments at an airport or a seaport. Deliver duty paid is very, very easy. It's the easiest of all. And what it means is a supplier is going to take care of everything. Now keep in mind, in every one of these situations, you still have to pay for the shipping and the fees. But the difference is you're paying the supplier to do it for you, or in some cases you're paying the freight forwarding company to do it for you. So with delivered duty paid, DDP, what it means is the supplier will prepare it for shipment, they will get it onto the boat or the airplane, they will have it flown or shipped by sea to the port, and then from there it will be taken all the way to your house or your warehouse or Amazon completely. And it includes, in this case, having a customs agent. That's why when they use a delivered duty paid, they usually use a large, well-known freight forwarding company like DHL or UPS or FedEx. They have a built-in customs broker, customs agent, who will take care of the customs fees for you already. All taken care of. Very nice, very simple. Yes, you do pay a lot of money because if it's being flown by plane, but again, it brings everything to your doorstep. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes to get that there. And that's what I love about delivered duty paid. You pay more, but it ends up saving you a lot of time. The information here is to make it easier for you to succeed on Amazon. So when you decide you're going to ship, the first shipment you do after you get your samples, I highly recommend doing by air. Now let me explain something very important here. When you do delivered duty paid, remember this. This is the way to go. You want it to be by plane for your first shipment because it gets to your house faster. You can start selling, investing in the listing, getting feedback on how you're going to make your next shipment even better. And once it's selling really well, then you can move to shipping by sea. And when you ship by sea, you make so much more money because it drops the cost like crazy. But remember, in order to make that effective, you have to have a large quantity to make it worth it. It ends up being really cheap. A lot of Chinese suppliers will say this, oh, it's much cheaper, go by sea, go by sea. But if you're only ordering 500, it's not cheaper. You're gonna pay way more in customs clearance fees and everything else that they're not thinking about because they're in their country, we're in ours, and they're not thinking about that, or they just want to get the deal done and they like shipping it by sea because it's easier. So always do, and here's a term you can use, I want door-to-door delivery. Most cases that means delivered, duty, paid. By airplane, door to door, by to my doorstep, done, I have it, I'm ready to go. And then over time, you get a warehouse, you send it to Amazon's warehouse, they do it by ship, and you continue to grow from there. Hey, this is Seth, Kniep'n it real. I don't ever say this, and I guess I should. Someone's telling me that. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed it, comment below. I'll try to get back to you. I really try to make an effort to get back to comments as much as I can. If you need coaching, I work with a team of badass coaches. We give you 4.5 hours of live coaching every single week to train you, to help you succeed, to teach you this and all of these, which you're probably wondering about, which I'm saving for my team because they are part of the program, and therefore make an exclusive video for them on that. And then you're able to build up and scale your business like crazy. I hope you have an awesome day. There's a link below where you can get Understanding Amazon FBA Fees. It'll really help you with understanding weight and size when you're shipping your products out. And that should make your life a lot easier. Have a good night. Keep it up. Don't stop. Crush it. And don't forget, March of 2018, we have an awesome conference coming up. You do not want to miss this. We are bringing people from all over the world here to train and help people succeed. It is going to be amazing. I would love to meet you. My coaches would love to meet you. We even have opportunities for people to sign up one-on-one coaching during the conference. It's going to be awesome. Have a good night. Bye.